A new fantabulous point of view. Yeah, we're live. As you can see, we're doing something new here. Should be exciting. Let's see if I can play with this a little bit. We are live, and today we're going to talk about intake manifolds. And I don't have a thumbnail up yet. I don't think, because I haven't figured that out yet. But we will. I'll have one up before this. Right after this goes live, we'll put the thumbnail up. But what we want to talk about basically is intake runner length. And so we're going to compare today. We have a tune port intake manifold from Tpis versus also from Tpis, the mini RAM intake manifold. I'm going to be showing you those very quickly here, and also showing you the power curves, the attending power curves of each one of those different kind of intake manifolds to figure out which one of those you guys like. Which one, do you want this power curve or do you want this power curve? It's this versus that kind of thing. And because of this new streaming deal that we're doing, I'll be able to show you that and not just describe it to you, because to be quite honest, nobody wants that. Everybody wants to see the cool stuff. So what we can do is we will check that out. So let's check out our different combinations. We'll start off. There we go. So we can talk about first. This is basically a tune port motor. Obviously, this one's a 383 aluminum headed deal. Had AFRs on it. It had a good sized camshaft in it. In fact, way bigger than we wanted for this test when I originally did it. And we did lots of testing on 350s also. But what I wanted to do with the 383 was we wanted to have a combination that actually put these intake manifolds to the test. Quite honestly, you would put together. We could see. We could show this again so we can stream through there. Quite honestly, we would use different components. Probably we'd put a different camshaft in. The heads could be the same, and instead of Airflow Research 195 heads or Eliminator heads or whatever, those are always a good choice for anything that you're doing. And so that could stay the same, but you would team a different camshaft with the tune port stuff, with the long runner stuff, likely than you would with a mini RAM setup, because you're designed for more high RPM stuff on the mini RAM, shorter or lower RPM stuff for the tune port. Not that it doesn't work with both of them. As we showed, we have a big camshaft in here, and you could see a decided difference in what's going on with the different runner lengths on this thing. So again, we'll show the Tpis, and the Tpis had their own big mouth base. They had big runners on it. They had a port matched plenum, and then a big dual blade 58 millimeter throttle body. And so we can take a look at let's take a look at the mini RAM now. So you can see mini RAM decidedly different. It's got an oval opening. We still use the same throttle body, but very, very short runner. Looks an awful lot like an LT1 intake kind of. And so, given the fact that it's a shorter runner, you can kind of see in there where the runner entry is and where the opening is. Kind of cool. Definitely cool looking, and definitely can make a lot of power. But let's take a look at the power curve. So here we can see the power curve, and the first thing you'll notice, so for everybody, the red, that's torque. The blue is horsepower. And we're comparing two different ones. And these are different enough that it shouldn't be too difficult for you to determine which one is which. The one that's making all the torque, like 530 or 540 foot-pounds of torque in the red there, that is the Tpis long runner tune port intake manifold. The mini RAM makes much less torque, all the way up to 5,000 RPM, which we can see. We'll do our thing so you can kind of see that. Makes much less torque all the way up to 5,000. Makes less horsepower and torque, because they're obviously the same thing. They're just represented graphically. But then charges hard all the way out to 6,500 RPM in the case of the mini RAM. So it makes a lot more power out at the top. So the question becomes, which one of these would you pick? So would you pick having like all of the extra torque, a la Tpis, the tune port setup, which we see there, and it's dramatic. I mean, it makes a lot more torque anytime you're making more than 500 foot-pounds of torque. More than 500 foot-pounds of torque, excuse me, that's a good thing, obviously. And this did 500 foot-pounds of torque, more than 500 for a really long range. I mean, it made 500 foot-pounds from 3,200 all the way out to 4,700 or so. That's a lot, and a big peak torque number. And again, not the ideal camshaft for that combination, but it does show you how much control the runner length and intake design has over the power curve. Even with the wrong cam, it's still doing what it does. And so that's what I'm saying. We could have teamed this with a 224 cam instead of a 240 cam, 224 cam, 218 cam. I probably would go the 224 cam at least on a 383. But you can see here is the kind of choice that you're looking at. Do you want to have like lots of low speed power and where you're using it, I would argue most often while you're driving around, you have much more fun just whop, 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 doing that rather than revving this thing out. But if you're going to the drag strip and you're shifting at 6,500 or maybe 7,000, would you want the more, one of these motors in a car would definitely go faster than the other one. So the mini ram that makes more horsepower would go faster if you geared it properly because it makes more peak horsepower. But the other one would accelerate better probably because it makes more average torque. And so again, it's a choice. And we don't get to have, like, the ideal choice would be to have all of that torque of the long runner deal and all of the peak horsepower of the short runner deal. And so sliding trumpets or whatever, that would be cool. But we obviously don't have that. But this shows, hey, look what TunePort stuff does. Are you guys seeing this okay? Are you seeing all of the, so I'll put the photos back up on the long runner stuff. There you go. Lower manifold. And then here's the mini ram. Wah, wah. It does package nicely, I have to say that. Yeah, Gregory, so you guys are all seeing that? Okay, you guys are all seeing, and then here's our power curve. So we can bring those up later. And this is we talk about this a lot, but this is a lot of times the trade-off that's inherent when we're making these decisions. Okay, what intake do I want? Well, we got this and we got this. What camshaft do I want? We got this and we got this. And unless you have VTEC and you've got two camshafts, we got this or we got this. We don't see the same kind of thing, I would argue, with cylinder heads nearly as much. Maybe if you put cup heads on there or something versus a stock head, maybe you could see a little bit more of a swing. But honestly, both of those intakes had the same cylinder head and they had the same camshaft. So you can kind of see that the induction system is playing a really big part there. Honestly, I would pick the same heads for either one of those. The airflow research heads were excellent. And even if you picked a bigger set of heads, I don't think you'd see a big drop in low speed power unless you went really, really big on the heads. And if you did that, you'd be much better off doing that with something that was needing, more airflow and wanted to make like a lot more power. And then obviously you could team it with long connecting rods and all of that stuff. And you could go down that whole rabbit hole. But this is interesting. We see this with turbos. Hey, do you have a small turbo and you want lots of response? And we got big turbos and where you have, more peak power, that kind of thing. Headers do the same thing. We don't see, if we do nice packaging and have short runner or stock kind of cast exhaust manifolds, we get one kind of power curve, and then you put long tube headers on it. Hey, look, it's a lot better. Although I would argue in that case, on the long tube headers, it's better everywhere. It's way better down low because it has, long primary lengths, hopefully on your headers. And then it does make more power on the top as well compared to either shorties or the stock exhaust manifolds in most cases. And in some cases, it's dramatically different. Like the Dodge Ram is a good example. They have terrible exhaust manifolds, or not the Dodge Ram, the Dodge Ram, but with the Hemi, the 5.7 Hemi exhaust manifolds are terrible. The SRT8 ones are good. And then maybe the later ones, I haven't seen how the later ones compare to the earlier ones, but all the early ones that we tested were not good. And a lot of times if it's a log style manifold, on that Hemi example, it's a log style and it's packaged up really tight. And so they just don't flow very well. They got no runner length on them at all. And they're just awful. And so you get big power gains from that. Some of them that are better, you get less of a power gain because they're already pretty good to begin with. But none of them, other than some of the ones that we saw that were cool back in the day, actually had cast versions of really long runner lengths. It's just real heavy and expensive to do. And then also, you know, packaging becomes a problem. A lot easier to bend tubes around rather than do a casting. But that's all very, very cool stuff. So let me know how you guys, let me know in the comments how you guys like the new style here, if this works out, so that I can show these, you know, we can show the mini RAM stuff or the Tpis stuff, and then show the mini RAM stuff. So we've got lots of cool stuff that we can take a look at while I'm talking, which is good. You know, everybody wants more stuff. And then I can show the power curves. So this gives you a lot of information. And then what I need to do beforehand, just do a little prep, do a couple of videos, and I can show you lots of good stuff. And that way, you know, you can visualize it, obviously, when we're kind of talking about it. Well, let's see what you guys got going on. Eric, what's going on? Winston, family, Charlie Brown, David. Good morning, everybody. Just listen while I work. Listen while you work. I think it's supposed to be whistle, though, but listen's even better. Let's get our tech talk. Got my low buck truck cam and springs. Looks great. Let me know after you get in. Let me know what happens. Neil, what's going on? Wales. Good afternoon, Lunchbox. Kimi. Yep, everybody hit the thumbs up. Torque for the win. So which one do you guys like? Let's see. I don't know if I can do a, I don't know if I can do a post or a poll here the way that they have this set up. We might not be able to do that. Good afternoon. Hit the thumbs up. Torque for the win. TPI time. Uh-oh, blower belts. I'd go with torque unless my burnout budget was unlimited. You feel that torque every time you drive. How many times are you going to hang it out past 5,500? That's the thing. You know, there's an argument for that. It's all clear, seeing good. Giving up 65 foot-pounds of torque. Yeah, it's a lot. See, it was awesome. I have a mini RAM and love it. Long runners are good for light to light. Short runners are good for dyno racing. Later Hemi manifolds break all the time. I've got a smog legal carb approved 350 TPI in a Jeep. Nice. So did you go through a ref station to get that done? Log stall manifolds are great for pretty much nothing. Getaway, what's going on? I like the new style. It's that audible noise. I actually do hear that. That might be the... Yep. I think what you're hearing is the hard drive. I think it's picking up hard drive noise because they're external. They're not supposed to be, but they are. TPI all the way. Sounds like a cable and a fan. Listen in, get all the wires disconnected and fluid drain to drop the subframe. Nice. Watch it from way back in the hills. Working in a cat. Oh, a rock truck. Cool. Definitely reel-to-reel projector noise in the background. Yeah, that's the that's definitely the hard drives. I wonder if I can shield get that up away from it or something. Let's see if I can. Try to quiet the noise. Spool and hard drives. Yeah, it's a really, really old computer. And the guy felt so sorry for me that he gave me an extra hard drive. So I have them externally. So you can hear them. They're just sitting on the ground. Probably not ideal for hard drives. I can put it in a soundproof box or something. We can make that work. I got the TV repairman. I got an ultimate set of tools. I need to go SSDs. What are SSDs? I just need a modern computer is what I need. Not one that's from the 1900s. 210 AFRs on 383 with a mini revs to 7200. You can't do that with long runners. No, nor should you want to, nor should you try. You should design the setup with the cam and intake manifold to make power in the RPM you want. Dynamat on an HDD, solid state hard drives. Okay. Yeah, this is not that. This is Commodore 64 on it, so it's not that. No spin, no noise. Yeah. Anything made after 1997 or whenever this was done. It is a Dell computer, though. Like seeing the power graphs and the products while on the live. I didn't know anyone else, but it's a win for me. Yeah, I would think that would be better than people. I can do it on my laptop, obviously, would be better. It's not a VIC-20. Yeah, that's right. It is that. It's what was the first one? HAL? Was that the first computer? Here, Gateway is back to making desktops. Dude, you're getting a Dell. That's right. That's right. It probably is time to upgrade that. Man, that's got a lot of dust on it. The first in TPIS and TPI are fun, but it still sucks when it falls off 4500. I'll send you a modern computer if you need one. I have a pile of retired computers at work. I'm afraid I can't make 1,000 horsepower, Dave. That's right. Dave, what are you doing? His computer is sending his vid through Morse and Telegraph. It is. That's definitely it. It might be just sending smoke signals. HAL was a bastard computer for 2001. Yeah, I know the Space Odyssey, but I thought that HAL was named after something. What was the very first who had the first computer? It wasn't HP, right? It was who had the computer for the space program? IBM, that's who it is, yeah. So I'm going to Charles Babbage, the abacus. Adam Osborne had a laptop named it Osborne. A new phantasmic point of view. IBM, HP. I like this look. Some of my clients still use IBM. The Lisa computer is named after Steve Jobs' daughter. I remember that. Go back one letter each after IBM. Steve Jobs isn't real. That's not a real thing. I have to say I do like the tune port stuff, and I like it because of what you're seeing on the graph. I like it because of all of that torque. You know, you get I understand the high RPM stuff, and in this case, not even really high RPM. You know, it's still revs to revs. It's still well, and if you look at the power curve, it made 450 horsepower, and then just was basically flat all the way out to 6,000. So where the other one was climbing up to 500, so you got a difference of 50 horsepower there. But it didn't fall off. And that's because of that big camshaft in that 383. That's why I continued to carry. The intake runners were saying, yeah, we're all done back here at like 3,500 or 4,000. So yeah, the camshaft and the heads will carry you out, but we're pretty much done here. Could have been Univac, 4,500 pound streetcar. You need all the torque to get the weight moving. It's all the brake stuff. I would argue with 530 or 40 foot-pounds, you're probably going to be traction limited. And also the way that this thing comes up from 2,500 to 3,000 RPM, that shows me that there's probably a better cam choice. Although it'd be interesting to try smaller cams in this and see what better thing we could do at the 2,500 to 3,000 RPM range, but then what effect it had. Because quite honestly, I wouldn't care if it chopped off a bunch of power at 6,500 on this TunePort 383. I would be okay with that. I'd rather have the other stuff down low. But 500 foot-pounds at 3,200 RPM, that's going to spin the tires. Because the torque converter, you're going to at least have, in this thing, you'd at least have a 2,000 stall, but probably more like a 2,500 RPM stall. And so it would be spinning the tires without any problem. It would be tire turning. And then you just add boost to that. Is anyone a fan of the Super Ram for big block Chevys? Yes, that is cool. Those are pretty rare now. You don't see a lot of those. Big block Chevy Super Ram. Oh yeah, and see, that's the same kind of thing. I would argue that that's a lot more like the Stealth Ram. But I thought that Lingenfelter did a box ram for the big blocks as well. Somebody reached out and said that they had an Excel Super Ram available for sale, but it's not cheap. Just go to a manual gearbox is more fun. Yeah. Yeah, the manual stuff was fun, even in the TunePort stuff. Although I think on a manual one, I would, on a manual transmission, I would tend to lean more toward more RPM, I think. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Although I loved having the 5-speed of my Mustang. Even though it didn't rev. And looking at power curves now after doing all this testing, thinking about me revving a HO Mustang out to 6,000 RPM, what a waste of time. The Edelbrock Big Block Chevy EFI intake that's out now is a nice piece. Cool. I have a buddy who has one for sale if anybody needs one. The U-boat. It's a Cadillac Fleetwood 4-door, probably around 4,200. I know, and we would think that that's really, really heavy, except when you look at a new Charger Challenger. Torque converter plus turbo equals fun. Yep. Yeah, if you get to spool up, good things happen with torque multiplication. Well, good things happen to the limited traction. Anybody else putting Dynamat in their car? Obviously I need Dynamat for my computer. Life is boring until VTEC kicks in. Bo-wah! When we were road racing, you didn't want to hear the VTEC kick in. You wanted it to be in all the time. Happy my 4-door weighs 3,600. Yeah. Yeah, I can't believe how heavy some of the modern stuff is. It's not that it's impressive that they make lots of power. They just have to make a lot of power to get those things moving. And then it puts a strain on suspension and tires and brakes and all that. So it's a car with 600 horsepower that only weighs 3,000 pounds. That's a pretty fun combo. I'll strip the project car and see the difference between the two. There you go. A Challenger is 4,400. Yeah. Is a Charger heavier than a Challenger? Life in VTEC and sideways is the best life. There you go. I love my little, all the VTEC Hondas, and all for different reasons. The VX, just because it was sipped fuel, which was awesome, and had VTEC, which I thought was good. So then you're using the VTEC to, hey, look, I'm getting ultra good mileage, and then I also can have some fun. It would have been even better to have boost on that. Even 7 pounds on that thing would have been very, very fun. Maverick, what's going on? All kinds of good stuff. I can't wait to do some turbo testing. Can't wait to get down to West Tech. I just checked in with those guys to make sure that they're not in the fire area, and I sent a thing off to Freiberger, make sure that he's okay, he's good. That's good stuff. At night school right now? Where are you? What country are you in that you're at night school? Eating Chick-fil-A, those are good. I'm a big fan. I think I like those chicken sandwiches. You're at night school at 10 o'clock in the afternoon? No, it's only noon there, right? I'm in my comment. Life in VTEC with boost is the best. There you go. VTEC and boost is really good. And anything in boost is good. Went to a ref station 5 times to get final carb approval on the TPI swap. Ref station was really nitpicking and seemed like they would never end finding small inconsequential things. Yeah, they do look for a lot of that stuff. Oh, you don't have the carbon trap. You don't have, well, I thought we wouldn't have that on that motor, but you don't have the lines right on the evap or going back to the fuel tank or blah, 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 blah. All things that don't make any difference. I've come to like Hondas as I've gotten older. The power out of those small displacements is impressive. I hate the angry dirt bike. You don't like the giant tips. It's noon right now. Charter school. Okay. Very cool. Yeah, enjoy your sandwich. I think Chick-fil-A is probably my favorite fast food chicken sandwiches. Can't think of another one. The Carl's Jr. one's not bad. Their club is not bad. I've had a lot of those, but I do like the Chick-fil-A ones. We call it Christian chicken. If you've ever seen the movie Night School, you'd get the reference. I really only like older Hondas, but then again, can't say I really like much new stuff. Come here, curmudgeon. You just want them all to get off your lawn. Is that what the deal is? The new Type R's are amazing, but they're, I find it hard to deal with all of the technology and stuff too. I like new technology and I like having boost controllers and all that stuff, but I don't like I have relatives that are dealing with a situation with their with hybrid cars and stuff, and if you lose the battery on it, just the stuff that you have to go through to even be able to get into anything, it's crazy. Chick-fil-A chicken is the best because it's the Lord's chicken. Yeah, that's some funny stuff. I've had some funny stuff. The bit that they did on the show about it was funny. I like new technology. I like new technology for going shopping and doing the mundane, but old for the fun stuff. Oh, in terms of the vehicles, it's nice to go get in a vehicle and just go drive it around. Like I like the stock one, but I I don't even want a truck that has drive-by-wire throttle bodies. Like Lisa's has that and it works fine. It's a new Mercedes, but still, you eat fast food, yeah, all the time, way more than I should. Although I did cook steaks yesterday, and I still have some left. I offered some to my son yesterday, then he didn't want any. I'm like, dude, it's not going to be there tomorrow. I'm telling you. I went and got a steak, and then I get the King's Hawaiian bread and make sliders out of that because that's just a little slice of heaven. Any plans to fix up your Fox body anytime soon? Yeah, we are. We're putting an LS in it. We're going to put an aluminum LS in it and use it to test a bunch of turbos that we have. They opened up 2 Chick-fil-A's near me in Canada, but the line is so long. Yeah, that's not unusual. That place in In-N-Out is usually really long too. My buddy has a new Type R. He crashed it. The insurance company didn't believe the Civic cost that much. They're not cheap, but they're really impressive cars. One of the guys that we know has one or has that motor maybe in an Accord or something. Is there a version of that? And he's run that at the Chassis Dyno West Tech. Runs it on the 85. It goes pretty good. I'm in Chicago. We get better than that. Garage fast food. I don't know what you mean. And this the TPIS mini RAM or the TPS TPI versus mini RAM? Yeah, I'll show you again. We can go through here again. That the graph that you see up is the TPIS, their big mouth base and their big tubes, and then their ported plenum, and then the 58 millimeter throttle was used on both of them. So here's the setup. So this is the TPIS setup that we used. This was on a 383 small block. And then we compared it to this one. This was the mini RAM. Very cool looking. And then these are the results. Obviously the long runner stuff, lots more torque down low up to about 5,000. And then the short runner mini RAM is better up at the top. Charges on the big end. I have a hard time spending 50 grand on a Civic Type R. You can do fun stuff with drive-by-wire with remaps. Yeah. Raising canes for chicken. Yeah, I'm not a fan of canes. They opened one up here not long ago, and my son brought it. And it's okay, but not. I just didn't like it as good as I like the Chick-fil-A stuff. Okay, got to see their mini RAMs versus others. I have a lot of. I tested everything basically in this test. I have that versus lots of other stuff. I support the mom and pop fast food shops. Okay. Like they look like a cool looking spaceship. I agree. The intakes are very cool looking. JPL, what's going on? Yeah, King's Hawaiian bread. It is the best, especially with steak on it. You can't get better than that. Speed density was installed on the 1990 TPIs. This eliminated the math and depended on map sensor O2. Yeah, we got all that. These weren't run with a map sensor on them. How much taller is the big one or the stock hood clearance? I don't know what you mean by big one. Both of these fit under a stock hood. In fact, they're both probably similar peak heights. See the graphics in the library are coming. Anyone know if first TPI got more castings in yet? The PROM memory was increased. Yep, that's all good information. None of that has anything to do with the results that we're showing though, because all of this was run with this was all run with a Holley HP stuff. So that we could get the tune correct on all of this stuff. We could do that with a factory ECU. It just take a lot of chips to get that done, and a lot of time. This way we just, and it's done. A lot easier to tune like that on the engine dyno. Because we had a lot of intakes to swap. Because you ran, I don't know, 10 or 12 of them, I think. So we ran those two. We ran a carbureted intake, a dual plane. We ran the Holley single plane 4-hole throttle body port injected conversion thing. We ran their stealth RAM. We ran the SLP. We ran a stock TPI. We ran an extrude hone version. We ran Arizona Speed Marine. We ran the Siamese runners. What else did we run? I might be forgetting some of them. It was a whole bunch. It was all of them. And the Excel Super RAM. Edelbrock had some runners that they did. Turbo Central, what's going on? Do you want to see some TPIS stuff? Look at that. Fancy, huh? Chip burning. I did a lot of chip burning on the Honda stuff with the original Honda S100 stuff. So I did a lot of that back in the day. I remember adding boards on the CR Cosworth. Still know one of the guys who was involved in the original development. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. We did that on the Honda stuff too. Because we were changing chips so often, we just put a zero insertion force socket deal in there so that we could, with the little lever so they could hold them in. The Honda stuff, that's what we set all the records at Bonneville with the Honda stuff, and it worked good. We eventually got the S200 and the S300 so that we could just, flash it and it would be good. That made it a lot easier, but we did, we had the what the heck were those things called? The little chip burners. I had a bunch of that stuff. Vitec Ultimate TPI was a standalone. I'm finishing up the install now. It looks to be nice and boost ready. 3-bar map, data logging for 900. Cool. We got to get Richard over 1 million subs, Mark, because all the work and data he's given us. That would be nice. One of the videos did exceed 1 million views, so I was very excited about that. That's what we did the giveaway for. I developed small block engines with fuel injection cams and carbs using ProSim. We'd love to have you build a couple of them. I've done lots and lots of small block Chevy cam testing. And I don't understand why somebody would think that there's a difference between a fuel injection cam and a carburetor cam. We need to upgrade the hard drive before we make a joke. Yeah, it is click, 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 click. It's the noise that you hear is the abacus that's sliding back and forth. My mate used to go on holidays to Florida to bring home Honda stuff. The Honda days is what got me into it. I soldered so many of the sockets in. Yeah, a Motes burner. Yeah, that was one of them. Yeah. So what are you seeing on your simulation stuff? Oh, we got new comments. If the top 5 builders entered a stock short block LS class as if it was Engine Masters, what do you think the numbers would be? I don't know what you're talking about. What is the rest of what they're doing? What else do you get to do if you did a stock bottom end? Is this an NA class? Is it a turbo class? What is it? And is there a displacement? The Vitec TPI is great. 90% of what the Holley stuff would do for 1/3 of the price. Okay. Yeah, let me know if it works. I've had people have trouble with that stuff, so I don't know. I haven't used it, so I don't know. The problem with all of these, any sort of comparison like Engine Masters or any of those is it can be political. But the thing that's cool about it is, like with Engine Masters, is that you get a lot of guys thinking outside the box, which is good. Hey, where are you going? Yeah, we don't go over there. That's not your business. Bruno trying to sneak into stuff. Go where you don't belong, huh? Hello, I know you're a good boy. I know you are. You gonna come up? You can say hi to everybody. Oh no, oh no, oh no. What? I know, keep petting me, huh? Keep petting me. Okay. Lay down and protect me, just in case anybody tries to get me. Okay, come on, go. Okay. There. Stock LS62, stock Cambor, NA. So you want to see what, are you wanting to know then what like heads, cam, and intake can be done? Is this a place to provide long-time subscribers opportunity to provide you content opportunities? I'm not sure what you're asking. What is it you're wanting to do? I don't really understand what you're asking there. I have another Jeep, LT4 383, that's good. LT4 hot cam, that's good. Rock crawl is great. Gears take care of runner length. Yeah. Have you heard David Vizard is working on electromagnetic port boost? I haven't seen that. I got to call him and find out what's going on. Neil, are the dogs talking to each other? I think a lot of the negative you hear about is people not reading the information or trying to get it to do something it wasn't designed to do. What is that? What is that information about? Oh, the Phytech stuff? Is that what you're talking about? First is still waiting on castings for the TPI intakes. I eagerly await one of Gen LT1. What? You can see I'm on live feed. We still got 20 minutes left. It's not time yet. It's not. See you all tonight. Everybody be safe. Bruno the Ninja Lab. I know. And we never found what he took down there. He ate whatever it was. Call David and get back to us. Okay, I'll ask him. I'm curious to see what that is. Okay, just a minute. I hear you. Is this space to provide long-time subscriber opportunities, to provide you content opportunities? This is really a question and answer area for people to come in, hopefully, and for us to discuss all kinds of things. If you have a recommendation, that something that you'd like to see tested, guys will say that stuff a lot. So I think I'm reading into it now, kind of what you're asking. If you have things that you'd like to see tested that you want to recommend, yeah, sure, you could throw that out there. I don't know that it will get done, just because obviously we can't do everything. Scientology finally got him. He's saying, look, I know it could be a squirrel related emergency. I've developed 100 small block Chevy engines on ProSim software with results of every engine build. So you have engines that you've done on a simulator? And so did you have a question about them or something? Yeah, no politics. And now, Winston, we're doing thoughts questions. I turned over. I made a New Year's resolution. I'm gonna let that go. I'm gonna be like Frozen and let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Lay down, baby. You're okay. No, I didn't say anything to you. I didn't say anything to you. I didn't. What? More pets? Is that what you're wanting? Hi. Oh no. Where's your brother at? Where's Brady? Go get Brady. Go bite him. Go bite his ear. I think, therefore, I am. I think, therefore, I dodge ram. Just for the rhyme, you know. Let it go. Let it go. we could collaborate where you could take my results and actually build the engines and see what their output is, creating content. Yeah, I don't really have a loss of available things to do, and comparing a simulation program versus reality is it might be fun, but I don't know that that's enough of a thing to do. I have an endless amount of testing that I still need to do, and so I'm not looking for more information or looking for more things that I can provide videos on. I don't have enough time to do all the stuff that I need to do already. I think therefore I dodge RAM. That's right. But I appreciate the offer. We would like it for you to come here and tell us about some of the simulation programs that you've run and like what the results were. Some of these theoretical engine builds. We're definitely interested in hearing some of that information. This is a good place to share that. And I think that these simulation programs are good places to find trends and stuff that you would then eventually want to build. I do not think, therefore, I do not am. I am not. So the question becomes, what do they do under boost? What do these two intakes do under boost? Richard, you asked a question a bit ago about turbos being added to your site and potential interest. Is that still coming? Yeah, we are. We have them. We have the turbos coming already, and I'm going to test and evaluate them, and then decide which ones that we want to offer. But we have some cool stuff coming, and I can't do a poll, or at least I don't know how to, with this sort of streaming. Let's see. No, we don't want to do that. Private chat, no. Media assets, banners, comments. I don't see something for creating a poll on this sort of stream. Or should that be AMC instead of AM? There you go. Is the M90 pulley the same as the 112? I don't know. I don't know if the offset and the bore size is the same. I would think that it would be, because I would think that a common shaft for Eaton would be a smart thing for them to do from a cost standpoint, but I can't swear to that. Can't wait for the first cam marketed as AI designed. Yeah. I prefer this instead. You prefer this version? I think it's better to be able to see stuff. I mean, I like talking about on the live feeds. I like talking about the dynographs and stuff and the power changes, but just talking about it is not nearly as good as like having it visually represented. Any idea how good a Ford 255 Windsor V8 is? Wondering for a small cube against class racing, just how good it potentially would be. I think the problem you're going to have is the cylinder heads available for that bore size is going to be really limited. I think a better combination would be something where you could put enough cylinder head on it, and then you're just limited by a specific output thing. I don't know if there's a good head that flows enough to make decent power in that. Would you trust stock LS3 hollow stem valves in endurance desert racing? I don't think I would, because I don't think that you need to have a hollow stem valve for that application. The AI design cam would be infinitely variable. Yeah, it wouldn't be a camshaft so much as a valve train system. Reference material on the screen is 100% better. I agree. I would want to see that. I would want to see people be able to talk to me and reference that and see that. It's just easier to be involved, I think. I'm disappointed, and I just maybe haven't figured it out yet on the poll situation, but let's see what this does. No, that does not. That does nothing. That does not anything. The 255 might have the same kind of issue. I don't remember what the bore and stroke is on that, but might have the same kind of issue that you have with some of the small bore Chevy motors too, is that there's just not a lot of good cylinder heads available for them. Really, almost nor can there be, because the chamber has to be so small, and then the valves have to be so small, and then you're talking about, well, can you change the valve position to change the valve size and not shroud them? And there's a lot of things. Went from 1310 with the big mouth to 1280 with the mini ram. Cool. Why won't what you can no longer have or buy Tpis stopped making this years ago? That doesn't mean there aren't some still out there, and that doesn't mean that you can't find stuff to do this. But really, the discussion is about runner length. Neil, were you using English there? Were you using the Queen's English or the King's English? Is it the Queen's English? Probably Queen, I'm thinking. I just like clicking on the buttons more than anything. Like that one. Because the other thing that we did, in addition to that, the big mouth lower manifold, because the plenum is easy to port yourself. You could port match that to something bigger. The difficulty you might finding big tubes that, and I don't know if that's even still a thing, that people still want that, but you can certainly port the stock lower manifold and pick up a lot of power, because we did a version of that. That was one of the other ones that we did that I didn't mention. We did an extrude honed version of the lower manifold. You don't want to extrude hone the runners, because there just isn't any wall thickness there to make it bigger and flow better. You need a physically bigger tube. But the lower manifold definitely can be ported, and you can get a lot more flow out of that. With the higher horsepower boosted engines, I understand the importance of ring gap, but I don't hear a lot about piston to bore clearance. Have you seen the stock piston to bore clearance be an issue? We haven't had the bore clearance be an issue. I would be more concerned with that when we're putting aftermarket pistons in with obviously a different metallurgy, and then we would have to have a different clearance for that, for like forged pistons. But we haven't had an issue with piston to bore on the big bang motors. Mini RAM was much easier to install than the Super RAM. Yep. When the hard drive was ordered, someone checked the loud box. They did. I think Pete Jackson actually makes that hard drive. Just use a giant silicone bead. It'll seal like Flex Seal. Try RTV and nylon washers on the bottom and top sides. No, well, this isn't bolted to anything. The siding is off of the computer. It's a tower, and then the wires have come out, and the hard drive is just sitting outside of this thing, just sitting on the ground. It's sitting on carpet, so you would think that it wouldn't make too much noise, because they don't have it leaning against anything that would vibrate against. But you guys are just hearing the noise. It just needs to be covered. I saw TPI is reinventing for Vortec heads. Are they beating a dead horse? No, that's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about this. We're talking the difference between a long runner setup and a mini RAM, and then the difference in the associated power curves. You can see a big change in difference. 3% per point of compression. My friend is waiting to make 200 horsepower NA in a Sentra. I told him it's not going to happen. Yeah, that'd be more than 100 horsepower per liter NA, and that's like VTEC Honda material or area. I don't know if that's a really good 4-valve head, and does he have enough cam timing for it and stuff? and it's going to be a fairly short runner intake. It's all of those things that you need to get the specific output up and be like a Honda. I mean, what do the SERs make? I think it needs a good old head realignment treatment. Throw the HDD down the stairs and buy another one. Yeah, it does. It really needs to be replaced. It's time. I mean, we can count the storage on one hand. Gregory, I don't know that you need a higher volume one. I would wonder what the bearing clearances are. On stock bearing clearances, you don't need that. We start thinking about a higher volume pump on stuff where we run twin turbos, where we're feeding extra oil to the turbos. Or if we're doing a performance build where we have much looser bearing clearances, then we do that. Everyone should make at least 125 horsepower to 1 liter. 125 horsepower per liter, that'd be a lot. 185 for the 2.5 Century. Yeah, so it's not 1 horsepower per 100 horsepower per liter. 500 horsepower 4 liter. I mean, all of that's possible, but it being a production motor and doing that is a different thing, because that becomes more difficult. But if you look at the specific output of the NA Chevy that's out there, some of the Honda stuff has been really high, the 250 horsepower 2 liter, and then Ferrari stuff, some of their NA stuff has been really high too. 250 horsepower per liter NA, that would be a lot. Even a 400 horsepower 4 liter Maverick would be a really good motor. Even 100 horsepower per liter is a pretty good amount. I mean, Honda had it in their B series stuff back in, I don't know, when was the first one, 89 or something. On a road course with a 4-speed, the torque from 35 to 55 is helpful, and running RPM for a long time is hard on the motor. Oh, not NA turbo, please. Yeah, I'm worried about getting those kinds of numbers out of the 2.2 Dodge with a turbo. So I'd like it. I mean, getting 100 horsepower per liter NA out of a thing would be a miracle. But even just getting the thing to make like 150 horsepower, which I think that's possible. And when I say possible, I just mean possible. I know it's possible, but is it possible in a realistic fashion with the things that we have laying around? That's only 68 horsepower per liter. That's not really very stellar. Would you trust an LS3 cast crank in a desert endurance race for 2,000 miles? No, that's not an application I would do that in. I would get a forged crank in it. TPI was built to do burnouts in a time when power numbers were abysmal. Nissan is claiming 400 horsepower in a racing circumstance with a 1.5 liter. Is the 1.5 liter a turbo motor? Have a couple of nitrous balls laying around that should help you get to 150. I think that definitely would. I just want it to be 150 NA, and it might be the way that we tested on the engine dyno. It's just that they're super low compression, and they have mild cam timing, and they have no head flow. And at least the original ones, like the 85, like mine was, and the one that I'm going to start out testing, has a terrible intake manifold. And so they have all of these things that go against them to make them rated at like 50 horsepower per liter. Less than that. I did the math. The Pro Mod is 400 horsepower per liter. Yeah, race motor power outputs, specific outputs, is a lot easier to do, but not making it drivable becomes the real issue. We've got a couple minutes left. Yeah, Maverick, it's especially when you start applying it to bigger things, which as you go bigger in displacement, it becomes harder and harder to do that. So if you have a big block that's, if you made a 300 cubic inch big block and you have cylinder heads that flow 500 or 600 CFM, it's pretty easy to get that power output, pretty easy to support that. It's a lot harder when the motor is not 300 inches, when it's 600 inches or 800 or 900 inches like these mountain motors. He's thinking about spending $3,000 on custom cams and $1,000 for head work. Yeah, I definitely would be thinking about boost for that. I bet one of those model airplanes has a pretty high specific output. Probably so, because it's running on nitromethane, right? They get serviced before I get to the shops and back at 400 horsepower per liter. 1.5 Nissan is a turbo, and the Nissan Rogue 200 horsepower is, this motor is a state-of-the-art computer-controlled variable everything motor. Yeah, a 1.5 turbo motor getting that kind of power output is much less difficult. And on that note, it is time to go. Thank you guys all for showing up, and I'll be trying to do more of these kinds of streams that have all the data on them to, just so we got more information to talk about. I'll see you guys all later.